Good afternoon again, everyone, and thank you to EACTP for bringing together people that don't just analyze this thread, but also they are connected and they are practically inside it. And doing my, let's say, short research and my script for this presentation, I just realized that I'm an EACTP member since January 2017, which I think it makes me one of the veterans in this association. And I'm happy that I joined the association back then, because I think since then we put a lot of substance on what we are doing, and we have tried to, and we have succeeded to become more and more relevant. I'm saying hello also to Ivana, because I see her there, and she's a long-time friend and partner. Very positively surprised to see her here. And we are talking about thriving in chaos. I like that because I'm exactly in the middle of it also in this moment, and you will see this further in the presentation. And I think we can start discussing, and you will see why I was choosing this 5 sentences for my single slide. And you will discover them, let's say, one by one. Let me start with something more personal. I began my career in 2001 at Lear Corporation in automotive, and I'm still of the opinion that automotive is probably one of the best, let's say, universities that you can practice. And at that time when I joined, and that was a pretty fine company and still is, their slogan was "Advance relentlessly." Back then, it sounded like a typical corporate message, strong, motivational, but very abstract to me. Why? Because I was only 21, fresh out of accounting university in Bucharest. And I suddenly found myself in a very complex environment, but in the same time, a real mess. It was my first contact with what complexity and pressure really mean in a business. And as a kind of personal memory, and also for you to understand how I started, it was a company that was created with more than 1 year ago, in which for 1 year and something, they didn't have accounting, they didn't have anyone managing the business. So practically the first thing that I had to do at my 21 was to first start recreating the more than 1 year of activity of the company, do the first inventory, set up the first accounting journals, and so on and so on, in a moment that everything for me was pure theory. So I was learning on the job. Why is important for me also this story is because years later, the company filed for Chapter 11 on July 7th, 2009, and then something remarkable for me happened. They emerged just 4 months later on November 9, 2009 out of Chapter 11, and that was the first time I realized that there are solutions outside the normal course of business. It was the first touch with Chapter 11, with insolvency, with prepack, with refinancing, with whatever all these tools we have right now in hand and we are talking about. But back then, they were something out of the earth. I mean, they were not for normal people. At that time, I didn't fully understand what that meant, but today I do. Why? Because that kind of speed that they had in their operation in that moment does not come from optimism, and it does not come from theory. It comes from clarity, it comes from discipline, and it's coming from execution under pressure. This was all that it was about in that moment. Only years later, I truly understood that advance relentlessly really means not ambition, not intention, but discipline. It means that you are setting your direction. It means that you know what you are doing, and then you follow through relentlessly. Because in difficult environments, consistency beats brilliance. It was even hard as a joke in that moment to pronounce the word relentlessly, because practically I was not so acquainted with business English. It was funny, and all of my colleagues in that moment in Romania were joking that we don't understand where we are heading to. After that, I moved into real estate. And it was again funny because I entered again into another crisis. It was 2007, 2009. And after that, at some point, and after a lot of struggle in this corporation and facing first the automotive crisis and then the real estate one, I decided it was time to leave the corporation and start on my own. Whether that was a good or bad decision, I'm still evaluating that. At the same time, I have developed a strong passion for aviation, especially after working with two of the main airlines in Romania, one Blue Air and then Tarom. And I understood that aviation is an environment where there is no room for hesitation. You don't wait to have the perfect information. You act instantly because the risk and the consequences of delay are simply too big. And then I started to implement these ideas also in what I'm doing. And this is exactly what turnaround feels for me in this moment. If there is one idea I want you to take away today, it's that chaos is not a problem. Passive behavior in chaos is. Because in turnaround situation, uncertainty is constant, clarity is temporary, and time is non-neutral. Time destroys value. What actually happens in distressed business is very predictable. Revenues decline slowly, and then at a certain moment, they decline suddenly. Costs, unfortunately, remain fixed. Liquidity tightens every day. Alignment between stakeholders disappears. And most importantly, decision-making slows down exactly when it should accelerate. This is unfortunately the reality. But this is in the same time, and this is what I learned in one of my previous TMA conferences, this is what I call the ice cube effect. The business is melting, whether you act or not, but you better act than just wait. Inside organizations, something dangerous appears: denial, hope, and waiting. Waiting for more data, waiting for clarity, waiting for the right moment. But in turnaround, waiting is not neutral. Waiting destroys value. Every minute, every hour, every day that you wait is just a decrease in value. So let's reset a little bit the expectations. Turnaround is not a financial model. It's not a restructuring document and not a strategy presentation. Turnaround is usually execution under pressure with incomplete information. Your job is simple but difficult. You need to stabilize cash, stop value leakage, rebuild operations, and hopefully align stakeholders. And here is the uncomfortable truth. You are not there to make people comfortable. You are not there to make them happy. You are there to make reality visible and force action. And to do that, you cannot lead from distance. You need to be present. You need to be visible and involved. Because in crisis, authority comes from proximity and not from hierarchy. I will take you right now with your approval, into a real situation. I will not give the name of the project. Let's call it Project X. And I don't want to give more information, let's say official information about them, because I'm still in the middle of the process, and you will realize why it's so difficult and important. I stepped into this business about 3 years ago. It was a very large organization, complex, operationally heavy, and under a lot of pressure. After a lot of transactions, and especially after the COVID period. The first move was not financial. It was, as I'm happy to call it, leadership. We reshuffled the top management and then also reshaped the second line. But more importantly, we changed how leadership actually works. I'm adding from time to time, let's say, the image from the ground floor, and I can tell you the management was locked in a kind of an Ivory Tower, and all the rest of the people, in order to get access there, had practically to ask permission and to get a kind of, let's say, to be included in the agenda in order to be able to open the doors. That was not funny. And we have started to redo and to reshuffle the entire structure, because in distress, hierarchy slows you down. So we have started to make the organization lean, not only in costs, but in structure and behavior. Fewer layers, shorter communication lines, faster decisions, open doors. And all of this because lean is not about cost, it is about speed. And in turnaround, speed is survival. Personally, I positioned myself inside the team and not above it. Working with people, not through layers, because you don't lead turnaround from the top, you lead it from within. Open doors, open space, even positioning myself and spending 1 week in one department, 1 week in one department, 1 week in another department. And full communication, open doors, and answering just in time. And if you want to lead transformation, 4 things are non-negotiable. Go to where the problems are. Understand the language of the people dealing with them every day. Temporarily remove hierarchy and barriers, and take responsibility for decisions. Because transformation does not happen in reporting lines. It happens where reality is. Talking to people, spending time with them every day, morning coffee, lunch, from time to time even dinner or late nights, late evenings in the office, helped a lot to build the relationship. After that, we move to stabilization. Not transformation, not optimization, but first stabilization. We implemented strict cash control, strong liquidity management, and operational discipline. Before that, people were so relaxed, so spoiled, that nobody cared about cash management, nobody cared about liquidity, nobody cared about efficiency. They were just used to execute orders, and that the management is the only one responsible for what is happening in the company. In the same time, communication became critical. We have replaced the formal reporting, huge spreadsheets, huge presentation not saying anything, and we have started to have constant, direct, transparent communication. Management started to be present in discussions, to explain decisions, and to be involved in the execution. Why? Because people do not follow plans. They follow clarity, energy, and behavior. You need to lead by example. And in crisis, people they do not do what you say. They do what they see you doing. So you must lead by example. Don't try to tell them something else than what you are prepared to do. After a lot of work, alignment and execution, this year, the beginning of February, we managed to sign an SPA and to provide a clean exit for our shareholder. Very nice, and applauses until here. But 2 weeks later, at the end of February, the law and the regulations have changed, and suddenly, externally, with immediate impact, we had a Black Swan event. A Black Swan event that will create more or less, let's say, the next phase in this project. The new reality is requiring to cut the capacity with more than 50%. This means less than half of the people, less than half of the retail positions that we have, because it's a retail business, half of the turnover, and imagine how fast we need to act and try to synchronize the adjustment of the cost base to the turnover decrease. This is drastic, but there is the important point. It was forced. It was not expected, because internally we already had some discussion, but we didn't know exactly when this will happen. The crisis did not create in the same time the need. We knew that we still have reserves that we can touch. We practically, what it happened with this Black Swan, it just accelerated the execution of the plan that we had before. Only that we are planning to do it in 3 years. Now we need to do it in 3 months. What is following is very intense. We are closing underperforming units. We are eliminating redundant roles. We are strengthening cost control, and we are improving cash management even tighter than what we were doing before. We moved from the 13 weeks cash flow analysis to 2-3 weeks analysis, in which practically we are trying to control even 3-4 per day the cash flow. At the same time, we are enhancing marketing, improving operations, increasing automatization, and accelerating digitalization. All with one clear objective. We need to assure the profitability, and in the same time, we are trying as much as possible to keep alive the exit solution that we found at the beginning of February. And this is what turnaround actually looks like on a daily basis. It is not theory. It is very simple and at the same time very intense. You watch cash every day. You run the 13 weeks cash flow constantly. You are trying even to beat it. And you track operational KPIs in real time. I'm waking up every morning at 7:15, I'm seeing the results of the previous day. And then the whole day starting from that. What do we need to adjust today based on what we managed yesterday? We are staying close to clients, and we are staying very close, and we are communicating, especially with the strong clients. Because cash is reality and clients are bringing us cash. What is not nice? At the same time, there is constant tension between management and shareholders. Different expectations, different pressures, different timelines. And the turnaround manager role is not to take sides. The turnaround management role is to bridge the two sides, the company and the shareholder. I don't need to tell you that in order to understand and have some decisions after this Black Swan event from our shareholder, it took something like 3-4 weeks. What have we done? And I'm not encouraging you to do the same, but some time is needed. We have executed and started to implement the actions, knowing in the same time that most probably our shareholder will approve them. In the same time, because we are CROs, we are turnaround managers here, we have a responsibility to the company, not only to the shareholders. We need to protect the company. We need to keep it alive. We need to provide this clear path to our shareholder out. And all of this requires agility, the ability to adjust quickly, to change direction, and act without waiting for perfect information. Why? Because in turnaround, just like in aviation, what I told you before, hesitation increases the risk. And sometimes, even a very small delay can have very big consequences. We are renegotiating huge lease agreements. We are renegotiating loan agreements. We are rescheduling tax payments. We do all what in a normal company is considered outside the normal course of business. And this is our day-to-day activity. Despite restructuring, external shocks, and constant pressure, we managed to keep the ice cube from melting. Not perfectly, but effectively. And not by waiting, but by acting continuously and decisively. We don't have the same size. We don't have the same volume of the ice cube, but we preserve value. We keep that inside force that is helping us to drive forward. So what does this tell us? It tells us that turnaround today is not linear, is not predictable, and not finite. It is a continuous adaptation. And most importantly, speed of reaction defines every time the outcome. Turnaround is not longer a project. It is capability. And that capability is not only structural or financial, it is behavioral. There are special people that are doing that. Not everybody can do it. We have a lot of colleagues that just said, enough, it's enough. I cannot live in this unpredictable environment. I cannot take harsh decisions. I'm not capable to do that. I want to go home. I want to look for another job. Turnaround people are special, I can tell you. To make it more practical, there are a few key principles for a successful turnaround. First, control time. Monthly reporting is irrelevant anymore. Weekly is too slow. You need daily control. Second, kill denial. Facts over opinions. Transparency over comfort. In fact, denial is one of our strongest enemies. I still have people and business partners around us in this moment that do not understand or do not want to understand in which situations we are. They are saying that, guys, we pure and simple don't believe you. Third, force execution. Execution under pressure beats perfect planning. I'm still of the opinion, and I think I have learned it more than 20 years ago, then a budget is a budget until it's approved. The next day after it is approved, you start reconciling and explaining why you are not there. The deviances can be smaller or bigger. but we don't know. We need in turnaround to move almost every minute, every hour. We cannot expect for the perfect planning. Fourth, align stakeholders. You don't need consensus, but alignment around reality. Everybody needs to understand the same situation. Everybody needs to have the same goal, because otherwise you spend too much time in explaining why you are not there and explaining all kind of small points in your activity that are not relevant for the business. Fifth one, and everybody is talking about it in theory, but this is very important in turnaround, build lean organizations, reduce layers, shorten communication lines, simplify decisions. Lean is speed. I'm joking also that from time to time, very powerful and very profitable organization, if they will apply the turnaround principles, probably they will be at least 5-6 times more profitable and more successful. Sixth, lead from within, not from above. Go inside the team. You need to be part of the execution. You cannot give orders that you do not believe in them and you are not able to execute them. Nobody will do miracles for you. Be clear, be simple, and decisive. As we all know, simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. In turnaround, 4 qualities matter most: clarity, simplicity, decisiveness, and conviction. Because if you are not clear, people are getting confused. And they are using also these confusions as a reason not to do things. If you are not simple, execution slows down. Everybody will blame it on complexity. If you hesitate, value disappears. Tomorrow, you might not have the same activity that you had before. And if you show doubt, in the same time, the organization amplifies it. A company in general, it's a 3-second secret keeper. Whatever 2 people knows, it's not anymore a secret. The next day, everybody will know it, especially when you are in a difficult situation. What is also interesting in that, and you will see me also laughing, this is a business, this is a profession, this is what we are doing as turnaround experts. So we are smiling and laughing about it, even if we are doing this kind of jobs almost every day. It's fun. And it's fun, especially in the moment when you are successful, and we are trying as much as possible to be successful. So let me close where I started. At Lear Corporation, there was that phrase, advance relentlessly. At that time, it was a slogan. I was not understanding it. Today, this is a rule. You need to be persistent. You need to follow your goal. You need to be there and to talk with your people. Because in turnaround environments, there is no perfect moment, no complete information, and no final plan. It is only movement at a very high speed. Most people wait in chaos. Turnaround professionals do not. We are the ones responsible and the ones acting to create clarity. And we do it with our teams, inside our teams, and leading from within our teams. So my advice every time is to set a clear direction, set precise goals, simple ones, understand what you are doing, understand the business, understand the industry, and then advance relentlessly, persistent. Because in the end, the companies are not saved by financial analysis and by market surveys. Usually they are saved by execution, by timely decision, and by the clarity of the orders and decision that you provide to your people. I am happy to share all this with you, and because I'm not the type of professor or teacher, I like to be more present in within the people, and I think we can discuss as much as possible about these points that I gave to you, and I prefer to have a open and nice conversation about them. Thank you.
No, thank you, Catalin. That's very kind of you. Do we? I mean, we have a few minutes for to set up the breakout rooms. But is there any question on the floor that anybody wants to share, or now is the opportunity? If anybody is happy to ask a question, I do actually, Catalin.
I know, Maria. You always know.
I have not one, but two questions. It's regarding Project X. I mean,
Yes.
it's quite interesting because you touch base in two very important, two important issues that are very much connected to thriving in chaos. One is, you know, converting an organization in distress from culturally being unavailable, management being unavailable, like an ivory tower. And how do you actually break the ice to be able to actually make the communications, make them accessible? As a turnaround, did you have the mandate to the green light to actually break those barriers? Because there is a lot of friction when it comes to board and kind of like the layers when you have higher structure and hierarchy in an organization.
That was the first very, very difficult task that I had to do here. So practically, I will give you exactly what has happened. I started as a, I don't know, 2-3 months consultant, just looking at the business. And in the moment that I started to explain to the shareholder that the management is the issue, and the management is not bridging communication with the company, and that practically they are somehow trying to fake the reality. Of course, the first feedback from the shareholder was, "My friend, go home. We don't need you." But step by step, they started to realize, because practically also the speed of facts was so fast that they started to understand that practically whatever I was explaining, and I put it on some written reports to them, they were true, and somehow the management was, let's call it, a little bit hallucinating in that moment. Why hallucinating? Because practically it was a little bit obvious that the whole company, the whole business, and the whole industry were going in a wrong direction. But in the same time, the management was presenting exponential growth. And it was not the case. Yeah. And I'm not saying that I had, I don't know, a kind of a vision, and I knew that what is happening right now, that we need to cut to a half. I learned it by then, but it was obvious that probably a very harsh decrease can happen. Yeah. And the shareholder started to understand that. And then after a few months, they said, okay, and what do we do now? Will you supervise them? Will you try to accommodate and lead the actual management? And we are looking for the exit. And I said no, because it will take too much time. And we came after a few months to an agreement in which practically half of the top management was laid off, and I continued with the other half. So practically the only two people right now, new people in the old organization, it's me and the CFO. All the rest are people from the old team. We don't have anyone new. So practically what we have done a kind of evaluation of the ones that we can continue with and the ones that we cannot continue with. This is what we have done in that moment.
Which is interesting because it's one of the things that James actually put on the chat. He says being in denial is dangerous. There are crocodiles in denial. Given this, how do you bring people out of denial? And I think this is the bit that is the hardest, isn't it?
That's the hardest. That's the hardest. I had it even today. Yeah. So practically, I'm telling you what we have done. What we have done today. I'm telling them that in the next 3 weeks, I need to close 20 units. Yeah. And my shareholder is saying, why don't we wait another 2 months? And I'm saying, because it's impossible, because then my biggest risk is to enter into incapacity and then probably into insolvency. We are not able to adjust our cash flow so quick and to delay so much payments to survive the actual decrease in turnover.
Interesting.
I mean, we need to act very, very, very fast. Yeah. And then the principal of the company is saying, yeah, I need to talk with everybody in the company, and I don't know, I need 1 month for approval. My friend, either we do it today,
we don't.
either we don't do it anymore,
Yes.
Or, there is also the other solution. Okay, bye-bye, I'm going home. You come here and you do it. And usually this is the one that it's working the most, because in the moment that you say, come here, everybody's saying, no, I don't want to take executive positions. I don't want to talk to people. I don't want to, let's call it right-side people. I don't want to negotiate leases. I don't want to cut costs. I don't want to do anything. I want you to tell me what you have in mind, and I just want to approve it.
That makes the lean part of it, just like get on with it. There is a couple of more comments on the chat, and also Avik has his hands raised. So I'm just gonna go quickly through Dr. Mark Taylor's comment. It is not critical to intervene in a crisis and utilizes the burning platform, but move from chaos to calm and safe as you move through the turnaround process on your sustainable journey. Very true. So it's basically from chaos to calm and safe. I think it's a part of it is the reassurance, isn't it? That
this is the reassurance, and you do a lot. I was watching the other day also the previous webinars and the presentation of some of our colleagues. And as Ioana Necula was saying, one of the webinars, there is a lot of psychology behind. You are working a lot with people. You need to calm them down. You need to spend a lot of time with people in order for them not to react that harsh. They are not used to them. Yeah, they are not used to this kind of situation. As I said, in this moment, our day-to-day activity, it's something that in a company would be considered to be done, I don't know, every 5 years. Yeah, you don't renew leases and renegotiate them every day. You do not go to the bank and explain what's the situation almost every 2 days. I mean, whatever we are doing, it's not normal for the people that are in, let's say, normal companies.
Yeah. It's not business as usual.
It's not business as usual. I mean, when I'm saying that for us it's business as usual, I'm laughing. And then my colleagues are coming and saying, how the hell can you smile and laugh when I told you that, I don't know, something is disappearing tomorrow? And I said, yes, because we need also in the same time to turn all these events into opportunities, yeah, and to see how they can help us. I mean, our goal, and the one that we need, as I said, to advance relentlessly to it and to be persistent, is to save the company. The rest practically are, like when you do an intervention, a medical intervention, and you go to they are cutting something, but the thing that they need to do is to keep you alive. That's the final goal. Yeah.
Thank you, Catalin. I got I got three more questions to come. Two hands raised, and David is still on the chat. David says, Catalin, thanks. Much of what you express resonates. Looking forward, how do you see the impact of AI on engagements?
David, I didn't believe in AI until a few months ago.
Yes.
Now I started to believe a lot in it, and I have seen the power of AI in agents that you are using. And what we are doing in this moment, we have almost totally digitalized our marketing and our customer experience, to put it like this. And we have moved from almost not knowing anything about our customers to knowing almost everything. And in the same time, we have replaced through AI agents a lot of the, let's say, routine work. We have done a lot of right sizing in departments like legal, like administrative, even operations, in which people were just producing papers. Right now, with an AI agent, and with the digitalization, one AI agent is replacing 9, 10 people. We have reduced tremendously the headcount, in the same time increasing the efficiency of the operations, and being able to gather more and more and more data that are telling us what to do next.
Thank you, Catalin. I'm just going to move because we got more questions coming through the chat box. Avik, you have your hands raised, and then we have Daniel after Avik, and then I'll go back to the chat room. Avik, would you share your question?
Yeah. So, Catalin, thank you very much, first of all, for your presentation. Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, very well.
Yeah. So my question is, while taking an assignment, how do you define the problem? I mean, the multiple companies might have multiple types of problem while at the time of appointment of turnaround professional, or while they're into a declining mode. So how do you define the problem? Whether you are dependent upon the inputs given by the company, what they are telling that these are the trouble points I am facing, or you yourself evaluate. And if you do that, like I just want to give you some example, like there might be problem in terms of the value chain. There might be problem from the hierarchy management, or the HR management options, or maybe the company's operational efficiency is going down. So how do you define that? That was one question. And second one was, how do you structure this? I mean, in the first maybe 1 or 2 days, you try to understand the company's everything, and then you get into it, or from the very beginning, you have some plan that is implemented. That's all.
Depending very much, Avik, also on whether you know the industry or not. For me, this industry was a surprise. I have never seen it before. I didn't know it. We spent close to 3 months trying to understand what is happening. Okay. Of course, the shareholder and the management came with a list of 100 issues that they wanted to solve. Half of them were true. The other half was just pure inventions. So just to reply shortly on what you have asked, we always rely on our own judgment. Yeah. And then we are trying to propose a clear plan and clear ideas and simple to the shareholders in such a way that they understand them, and explaining also why the other half is not valid, or not even not valid, not important, not relevant. Yeah.
Correct. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next question, the next hand raise is from Daniel. Daniel, would you care to lead the question now?
Of course. Thank you. Hi, Catalin.
Hi, Daniel.
Could you please expand and do a deep dive into the process you followed to replace that half of the management that you just mentioned? Did you do it in one go? Did you do it in steps, 1, 2, 3? What was the criteria you followed, and what were the trade-offs? Because ultimately you also lose expertise, you lose experience, and at the same time you need to balance that with the willingness and the competence. So I'm just wondering, what were the steps that you followed, and if you had to do this again, would you do it exactly the same, or would you change or tweak something?
I think somehow, and I appreciate very much your question, because you also gave the answer in the question. It was not a sudden process. We had to evaluate all of them. We had to evaluate the commitment, the cooperation with us. We had to see if we are losing too much know-how and if people are very difficult to be replaced. And we have applied all the criteria that we had in mind in that moment. In the same time, I also need to tell you that we have used it as a tool, let's say, for threatening some of the others that were not cooperating. And some of them came to terms, some of them not. But it was a process that we have executed in steps as a kind of a chess play, yeah? Knowing every time the next 5, 6, 7 moves. And deciding every next move on the result of the, let's say, actual ones. Yeah. I mean, we started with from a lower level in the organization, knowing that practical defining that was a kind of a key player for the, let's call it, negative part of the organization, and then understanding what the layoff of that person meant for his colleagues, and then playing further the chess play. In the same time, what I can tell you in that moment is that the result was even much more spectacular than expected. Practically what we have managed in that moment to achieve was that we took the burden, we took practically the black side from the other half of the management team, which in that moment practically flourished. And they helped us a lot in the quest and in the project. I mean, practically call it the negative part was not allowing the others also to do their job. I am happy that I think I'm able to say that I was chosen very, very well in that moment.
Thank you,
Thank
Catalin.
you.
I hope, Daniel, that answers the question. Well put. I like the chess move scenario process. I have a few questions on the chat. We have a comment from George say, thank you, Catalin, very interesting presentation. Take care. I guess he has to drop out. Mark tell us the turnaround space is an ideal space to utilize AI where data is messy and speed is of essence. But with all AI, authenticity is fundamental, and it's very true. Particularly when you are actually talking on replacing, people for AI agents, and whether what you're replacing is the original data is the true data.
What we learned also in the last months is that all the AI agents and all the systems, AI systems, and I got it from a specialist in that, all of them are hallucinating. You need to give them simple tasks that are repeating in order for them not to start hallucinating. If you try to give them something creative, or you are coming with out of the blue question or out of the blue task for any AI system that we are utilizing presently, trust me, they start to hallucinate. So practically, you need also to take care a lot not to fall into this trap, go too much on AI or not control it. I mean, we have this issue, but I think it's under control in this moment in which we are okay and we are controlling it. We do not get hallucinating results. I mean, it's happening, and we had a few cases like this in which practically we gave to our system 2+2 question and expecting a 4, and we got 10 answers, and it was something like started to play with us, and no, we don't want that.
Yeah. So it all boils down to the person behind the prompts in a way.
Absolutely, and how to control them. And I see there further in the chat, and that's very, very, very valid. A lot of the AI and the digitalization comes with the GDPR issue. Whatever it's digitalization and AI, it's prone to GDPR issues. And this was something that we also needed to control, because I don't need to tell you that fines, penalties under GDPR legislations are huge in Europe. And we had practically to show to the regulators and also to the clients that we are respecting in full the GDPR regulations. And we are talking about a lot of metadata, a lot of anonymous data and information, and also a lot of formal processes and formal documents that are adding on top of the digitalization and AI. Consents, information going to the customer, and so on, in such a way that everybody respects the rule.
Thank you, Catalin. We've got another comment from Mark to say diagnostic is key at the outset, but will run in parallel through the process managing its iteration, fast on efficiency and slow on sensitive data in terms of AI, which is true. And then James says, I'm mitigating the risk of hallucination by being rigorous about using prompts to a specific source, cite data use, and eliminate guess making.
Absolutely. Fully agree with you. And I think also what Mark was saying, it's absolutely important, because diagnostics run in parallel with the process. You first do the cherry picking. You cannot wait to finalize the diagnosis. You need to act. Speed, what I said earlier, speed is of essence. Yeah. So sometimes, and you are absolutely also right in that, you also go by intuition from time to time. You cannot wait for the analysis to be done, and most probably in 90% of the cases tell you exactly what you knew from the beginning, because a lot of ideas, a lot of understanding of the processes are coming from previous experience. We don't need AI. We don't need to finalize the diagnosis to tell us a lot of things. I mean, and also, Maria, practically right now, when we are looking at the business, probably we get 75% of the issues from the first discussion.
I see. Now, I'm glad that you mentioned that, Catalin, because looking at all the comments in the chat, and particularly about AI, there was another issue that you mentioned on your Project X about the Black Swan event. And you had to cut back like literally half the project, in terms of closing units and I mean, do you see that having these tools, obviously you implemented these AI tools in the process, did they help you on to deal with that Black Swan event?
Yes, they are helping us a lot. Why they are helping us a lot? They are helping a lot in order to speed up the analysis and to take faster decisions. I mean, whatever we were doing, I don't know, like a huge Excel sheet with I don't know how many rows and columns before we were doing it in 2 weeks. Now we are doing it in 2 days. We are able to get we have synchronized all our information. We had added some BIs on top of all the data that we have in the company that are very easily bringing us whatever we need in a few steps. But we need to recognize that we have very specialized people that are able to produce and to manipulate these softwares and these AI systems. I mean, exactly what James is saying there. You need a lot of prompts. You need to be very, very specific in what you are asking. You need to be very sure about what you want from them. Otherwise, again, you have the risk of hallucination.
Yes, just keep it simple. You got to be linked with the AI. Well, we do have, I'm conscious of the time, but we do have a breakout room in terms of, we have prepared a question for the breakout room. So we have about 10 minutes to discuss the slides. Helen, would you be able to share the question?
Conclusion that addressing a reality gap was the top priority, and it was really important to be fact-based. So rather than relying on miracles and hope and these kind of things, that was the focus. Then secondly, the reframing of the problem was really important, and that we should be continually aligning with the shareholders on is this what the business looks like, is this right, etc., etc. For two reasons, I guess. One, for empathy, but two, to get buy-in to exactly what we're looking at. And then third, the series of options or next steps, which TSC1 would frame rather as a transformational strategy, would be the next of the last of those three pieces. So these are the three things we came up with. What do you think, Maria?
I think it's brilliant. The alignment to the shareholders or the stakeholders is always important, and it was touched base by Catalin as well in all of his projects, and it's one of the fundamental things on any turnaround. When you bring the communication and all the parties are with you, you're gonna make it. It's just making sure that everybody will back you up. So that's what my view is. But that's very interesting. Thank you, James.
Or at least that they understand the direction in which you go, even if they don't agree with it.
Indeed. Well, we were in room 1, and Mark gave us really good, golden nuggets as well. So, Mark, I'm gonna let you be our spokesperson.
Okay. We talked about, in parallel to what our colleagues have said, three things: stakeholder alignment at the outset, getting a lens quickly on fixed, close or sell, 13-week cash flow led with operational and financial plans of reset and restructuring implemented as quickly as able. And then we also talked about the role of AI augmenting what we do now, but not replacing human judgment, cash discipline and rapid execution, talked about from the speaker at the front end. So those were the themes that we sort of bounced around between our various experiences of case involvement and current mandates that we carry.
Thank you, Mark. You know what I found fascinating as well about the 13-week cash flow? What Catalin touched base is that when he started to work on Project X, they moved from 13 weeks to basically 2 to 3 weeks cash flow. And I'm finding that to be more relevant these days than what it was perhaps a few years ago when I started in turnaround. And I don't know if anybody on this room find the same themselves in the same situation because prices are changing, you know, kind of labor it changes and raw materials is changing. So does anybody have any similar experience as to how they manage the cash flow forecasts in terms of their mandates?
We are managing within that 13-week period. So it's not a case of you wait every 13 weeks to update it. You're managing your cash flow on a daily basis, and you
Yes.
have the necessary reviews pretty much twice every day, morning and afternoon, and then you flex your forecast to improve the assumptions. I mean, the thing inherently about a forecast is it'll be wrong at the outset. What you're looking to do is to close the gap between the expectation and the actual, and it's just a key working document that is paramount. And particularly if you've got a carrying a funder mandate, you've got to have it as an integral document. So I would say that the timeliness and the use of it is daily. In fact, it's AM and PM in my world. But you know, it is the all-controlling document, because you're trying to establish all the time what is the runway space. And of course, that will back into your budgeting and planning beyond the initial risk period of your intervention. But it's a tool and discipline that is so important to have, whether you're in turnaround or not, to be honest. Because if you look at scenario planning, those organizations that are utilizing 13-week cash flow in their scenario planning will less likely to lead to disruption and having to have an intervention in the first place. I recognise we all deal in different size businesses, and I truly understand SMEs because I operate in that space. But if you need to be scenario planning and running it through, never more than now, with the geopolitical risks that we encounter, the inherent tax consequences in hospitality, for instance, construction sector, retail. You know, if you're not running those through all the time, then you're remiss at the moment, and you can fall down that hole very quickly.
Indeed, I'm using at the moment cash flow as a tool to negotiate with the stakeholders. Literally.
Yeah, absolutely.
Probably it should be a mandatory tool to be implemented, because we have seen cases. I have seen cases in which nobody cared about. They had so much money that they didn't care about cash flow. I mean, practically they were doing a kind of a cash flow projection, I don't know, every quarter. Come on, that's not normal. In the actual level of unpredictability of fluctuations of the market, if you do that, you are practically suiciding yourself.
Catalin, when you have your Black Swan event, did that affect your cash flow analysis?
Absolutely. And
How
it's
did you
changing.
deal with that situation in that?
I cannot give you a final result. I'm telling you that we are daily in that one. I will probably we will see a result, I don't know, in a couple of months, 3 months from now on. But right now, the only thing that we are doing every day is tightening and tightening and tightening and trying to increase the control and trying to preserve resources in such a way that the next event that can happen in 1 or 2 weeks from now not to hit us that much. I mean, we are trying to be over risk adverse.
Okay. Sorry, James, you raised your hand. I saw you doing this, so I wasn't sure. Well, you wanted to do a question?
No, so there was, Catalin said something was higher than normal. So I was just joining in. Sorry, I wasn't other things. It wasn't a question. But he was talking about something being heightened and risk and exposure stuff. Sorry.
No worries.
Well, brilliant. I think we're coming to a close now. We look forward to seeing you in the next mastermind. So do come and join us on the 21st of May, which is with Michelle, and it will be all about the technical financial side of the restructuring. Many thanks to all of you for coming and supporting us. I'm forever grateful. this conversation, this type of conversation is what fits our community. We are growing, we are learning, and it's your insights and your experience that help us get better at what we do. So thank you.